Even though our goal is to understand the effect or implications of business activities on the environment, or vice versa, the effect of the environmental issues on business, it is vitally important that we understand environmental factors, environmental pollutants, and how these issues affect us as people and as society. Because only when we actually understand these things and these factors can we or are we able to be in a position to effectively understand its impact on business and whether business or such business activities may have an effect on the environmental factors. So that is one of the reasons the initial classes are focusing a lot on the basic raw elements of environmental issues. So we need to understand what they are, how they're affecting us, and then we can basically make the connection between these factors and business and vice versa. As always, if you have any confusion or any problems, feel free to raise your hand or simply ask me a question. I will definitely explain that issue. Because one of the most important factor in the environment are us and living things. So we need to understand the effect of pollution on humans first. By humans, I do mean humans and also living things. So as air is something we cannot live without and it's one of the most vital elements for life, one of the worst effect we can see of air pollution is premature death. But premature death, we mean people die before their actual time. Bad quality air, polluted air can cause a lot of diseases. That is one thing. But it can also result in premature death. This has been seen in infants and babies also, who are exposed to cigarette smoke or secondhand smoke. Uh, I will I will quote a proper term. It's a technical term for that. It's something like COD, but I will check on that and I will let you know. It is literally instant death, that the quality of air is so bad that the brain is deprived of oxygen and then you're dead. So in one way or another, it refers to premature death, okay, dying before your time. We did discuss asthma. Asthma is a breathing problem. So air pollution can seriously exaggerate that. It can create more problems. It can make your asthma symptoms more problematic or worse. Additionally, it can further show more acute respiratory symptoms. Asthma is one of the breathing problems. There are many more. Ironically, COVID itself is a respiratory problem. One of the most common respiratory problems which caused a lot of deaths was tuberculosis. But TB was caused by some bacteria, but normally respiratory problems are caused by air pollution. And this is one of the reason a lot of people in cities experience a lot of breathing issues because these places are dense with low quality air and extensive air pollution. There are times where doctors actually recommend asthma patients to simply go to healthier environments during their vacations so their lungs can absorb better oxygen quality. Chronic bronchitis is also a form of asthma. Your lungs have minute veins and hair like structures. This results in the inflammation of those veins. When the veins in your lungs inflammate, matlab they swell, you have less place to inhale. It creates problem for inhalation and exhalation, so it causes a lot of discomfort for breathing. Severe cases of such infections can cause death. So, in simple terms, lung air pollution causes a lot of discomfort and painful symptoms which can lead to death. Decreased lung function, अच्छा decreased sorry lung function, कि lung function capacity कम हो जाती है. अब we cannot uh, breathe very well. We cannot take deep breaths because the quality of air is so bad. And then heart and lung diseases. More or less, we are covering all of these things here and there. Achha, the problem with this is that we have no control over this. When we talk about water pollution, we have an option not to drink water. even though it's a very difficult thing to do, but we have an option. Okay, yeah, we do not have to drink this water because it is polluted. When it comes to solid waste, we always have an option to avoid that thing. We can move out, we can throw the garbage, we can use some features or factors which can help us minimize our exposure to solid waste. But when it comes to air pollution, we don't have a lot of options unless and until we wear those big military masks which have activated charcoal with them. So we don't have that luxury to basically prevent ourselves from being exposed to air pollution. So one of the worst possible pollutants which we can be exposed to is air pollution. As long as you are living in a city, you are exposed to air pollution. It doesn't matter. आप लोग खिड़कियां बंद कर लो, but still you are exposed to air pollution. So that is the worst part here. We as individuals do not have a lot of role to play here. So the one thing we can do is try to minimize our contribution in the air pollution area. Now, these are the things when we are talking about humans and normally animals, living things. Now we are going towards environmental effects. So please keep one thing in mind, okay? Both of these things are not isolated, they're not segregated, they are linked in one way or another. All of these problems which humans face can also be contributed by these environmental effects. But we have segregated them in a way so we can it's easier for us to understand. Air pollution in the environment can cause acid rain. We discussed in the last lecture, when sulfur is released in the atmosphere, it can condense and form into sulfuric acid. It can react with chemicals and gases and form sulfuric acid, and those vapors can fall in the form of rain. Sulfuric acid is a very strong and corrosive acid. So, if you are unfortunate enough to be outside, it can seriously hurt you. And if it is highly diluted, I mean, if it's mixed with water, matlab the concentration of sulfuric acid is very limited and there is higher moisture and more water, it might not directly affect you, but it can cause a lot of diseases, skin cancer, and so on. One more example. अच्छा, एक काम करते हैं. We have discussed a few elements here. You guys have 5 minutes to do a Google search on these three factors: eutrophication, haze, and wildlife. I'm sure at least wildlife is something you can tell me right now, but girls have to search these three terms and tell me what they mean and how air pollution is affecting them. Ozone depletion, we have already discussed. Some gases, some pollutants affect the ozone layer, it depletes it. There are a lot of holes in the ozone layer, because of which a lot of harmful radiation is coming in and causing a lot of diseases. Not only diseases, but also greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide is increasing, because of which the global temperature rises. Again, if anybody has any issue here, let me know. I will discuss this in detail. I'm not going into detail because we have already discussed this in the last lecture. Crop and forest damage. Air pollutants can decrease the quality of air and can not only affect crops, plants, and forests, but also acid rain and other elements can also affect our crops and forest. By crop, I mean the plantation we have, सब्जियां और फल जो उगते हैं हमारे. Sana has shared what haze is. Thank you very much, Sana. Haze is traditionally an atmospheric phenomenon in which dust, smoke, and other dry particles obscure the clarity of the sky. Thank you. Uh, and Yumna has also shared this. Thank you very much. I'm still waiting for wildlife effect and eurification. Haze is basically what we call in Urdu dhunlapan. We at times refer it to.
सर
जी जी बोले.
सर ये यूट्रोफिकेशन जो है वो एक्सेस ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स हो जाता है रिचनेस ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स
Excellent. Thank you so
किसी
much.
किसी भी लेक और बॉडी में मतलब जहाँ
Perfect.
पे पानी मौजूद है.
सही है. Thank you. So nice of you. Thank you. Uh, First of all, clearing haze. A lot of people refer it to as dhun or fog. The problem is fog is condensed, sorry, it is condensed water particles. In terms of haze, it is dust, smoke, or other dry particles. It is not water. So the difference between haze and fog is that fog is moisture. The clouds are dense water particles. Similarly, fog is dense moisture particles. Haze is dust, smoke, and other dry particles which hinder our sight because of dust storms or burning fire or any other phenomena. When we have dry particles in the air and which restricts our view, we cannot see more than 10, 15, 20 meters away. So it is called haze. This is usually caused by a number of factors. And if you talk about human involvement, when we burn garbage, that causes a lot of smoke to rise. That can itself, cause haze, and it's very problematic for animals, birds, and even pilots. When they're trying to land their planes, it causes a lot of issues. Now, a very good explanation for eutrophication. We have written definitions here also, and we were given some verbal confirmation also. So I'm just reading one of the detailed definition which is available here. Then we will go into more interpretation for that. Eutrophication is the harmful algae blooms, dead zones, and fish kills are the result of a process called eutrophication, which occurs when environment becomes enriched with nutrients, increasing the amount of plant algae growth to euthanize euthrace and coastal waters. Okay, this is one definition. I will read the other one also, and we will come back to this. Eutrophication, dystrophication, or hypertrophication is when a body of water becomes over-enriched with minerals and nutrients, which includes excessive growth of algae. This process may result in oxygen depletion of the water body after bacterial degradation of the algae. कुछ समझ आया? Can somebody explain this to me, or should I go into a little detail here? We discussed that one of the form of water pollution was in the agriculture sector, which incorporated a number of fertilization techniques. In the developed world, a lot of fertilization is done using aircrafts and helicopters, where aerosol sprays are used to spray fertilizers over a large area of water or crops or land. Now, the problem with air fertilization is that it uses very fine sprays which converts the liquid into the aerosol form. When we talk about aerosol, it is mist or spray form. So it mixes with the air and it stays airborne for a very long duration. So fertilizers, when converted into aerosol form, can spread over a very long distance. The goal of these sprays is to spray fertilizers over a large area of crops. But when the spray is very fine, it tends to convert into aerosol and fly away on a larger area. That way, these particles will land into river or lakes or other water areas, number one. Number two, naturally, when this fertilizer is absorbed in the soil, it can still seep into the water source. In both ways, fertilizers and other elements or nutrients can enter the water sources. So here, nutrients reach water and enriches the water to a higher degree, which is not normally present. So that way, there are nutrients which fishes can no longer absorb, number one. It may increase the algae or uh, plant growth or plankton growth in the water, which may increase the green content, resulting in less sunlight and less oxygen available for the fishes to breathe. So there have been many cases where a lot of fishes simply die and rise up on the surface of the water. There were a lot of TV reports. It's not very common in Pakistan because we don't use a lot of air sprays here. So The simplest example, simplest uh, event we can say is when we see fishes are dying in hundreds and thousands of quantity and they simply float up. It is not any natural phenomenon. It's basically because of excess nutrients entering to the water. It can be through seepage, it can be through air sprays, it can be through any factor. So this is a serious problem, and this is one of the reason a lot of people are against artificial nutrients or chemical nutrients which may seep into these areas. That is one of the reason okay, solid form of fertilizers are used, and we try to use fertilizers which naturally decompose instead of seeping into water and getting forwarded into water sources. Thank you to all of the girls who did your research and forwarded your details. The wildlife was just a simple point here. Nobody has forwarded it to me, so I'm just stretching that. Air pollution, obviously, as we discussed, affects humans. Also, it affects animals and plants. When we talk about the wildlife, animals, birds, all of them breathe proper clean air. This can cause them to die. Simply, it causes problem for them. It affects their navigation, affects their reproductive cycle. It affects their entire ecosystem. So in terms of air pollution, when there's a big fire, there's a lot of haze, birds cannot reach their homes, they cannot reach their families. The same is with animals. So when there is oxygen deprivation, animals do get affected, they do get diseases and they do die. Crop and forest damage we have discussed. Global climate change is something we will discuss in a lot of detail, but in simple terms, it is connected with ozone depletion, it is connected with the greenhouse effect. A lot of people assume that when we talk about the greenhouse effect, it increases the global temperature, which in one element is true. But global warming does not have anything to do with warming per se. Global climate change affected by global warming can cause higher temperatures and it can also cause lower temperatures. I'm not sure कि आप लोगों ने वो पढ़ा होगा ice age. There was an age in history where everything became frozen. The entire temperature in the entire world fell a lot of degrees, which resulted in a very long ice age. Everything was frozen. According to some forms of research of some scientists, it is believed that that was also a side effect of global warming. Again, there are school of thoughts which debate this, but global climate change affects everything. It can increase rain, it can increase temperature, it can cause shortages of water, um, it can cause colder temperatures, prolonged summer, prolonged winters. So global climate change is affected by a number of factors, which we will definitely touch in a lot more detail later on. Most of these things were general, but we had to discuss them. If anybody has any problem here, feel free to let me know. So the most important factor here is to see this line. It states that air pollution cannot be fully prevented, but it can definitely be controlled. Some of the easier ways we can do this is okay, when we are generating electricity, because generation of electricity is a mega project. If we even talk about Pakistan, which is a relatively small country, we have a big population. So providing energy to a big population requires us to generate a lot of electricity. Now, electricity is not directly proportional to the number of people, but to the amount of development and electronics that are being used. So if we look at the United States, even though their population is relatively low compared to their size, their electric consumption is drastically greater. So if a country, even if a small country has a great need to generate electricity, they need to generate electricity on a very large scale. The most economical and commonly used fuel is coal. So one of the simple preventive measure is to use low sulfur coal. We can use better quality coal. We can use better methodology for that. We can use CNG, compressed natural gas. CNG, the advantage of compressed natural gas is that it is relatively environmental friendly. When CNG is burned, the output is relatively less damaging compared to coal or petrol. Similarly, we are able to modify the industrial process. But if we again talk about the power plants, there are technical solutions available which can filter the output air. I gave you an example of one of the Scandinavian countries which actually burn garbage to generate electricity. And their filtration system is so effective that the output air which is expelled from the plants are cleaner than the air which is outside. So their filtration system is that effective. So if we are using coal plants or other plants, we can actually filter the air ourselves. It depends on awareness and willingness. Again, our industrial process, yeah, industrialization, yeah, industry are also a major source of air pollutants. When we talk about manufacturing, when you talk about the cement industry, we talk about other large scale industries, they generate a lot of gases. So we can modify their processes to minimize the use of such materials, or to make sure they filter the products which are being expelled. Most of the developed countries are doing that. This is one of the reasons that countries like Switzerland, Netherlands, and other Scandinavian countries have a very, very, very low percentage of pollution. A highly industrialized country like Germany has one of the most cleanest air possible, simply because their industries and their environment are so well regulated that they do not generate a lot of pollution. If you go to a mega city like Frankfurt or Berlin, you'll be amazed that their air quality is 100 times better than the air quality in Karachi or other countries, other cities, simply because they try the level best to prevent as much pollution as possible. So one more thing which we can do is we can have a suitable site or zoning for industrial units. Make or designate a place, make or designate a place where similar industries can all set up. For example, the cement industry generates a lot of pollution. So instead of having the cement industry in an area which is relatively populated, we can make sure that these industries are set in an area which is far away from population, so that at least the gases and the pollution do not affect the nearby people. But that is not a complete solution, because those gases will in one way or another affect the entire environment. So filtration and so on things are required there. But the best example for zoning would be water treatment plants. In Pakistan, or at least in Karachi, I've seen that the storm water and drainage systems, all of them are basically thrown into the river or into the ocean or in the sea. Even in defense, we have an area which is called Marina Club or Marina area, which is near Marina Creek, the golf club, and so on. Most of the time, most of the sewage water is simply dumped into that area. The That is one area where I used to jog, and if you stand on the corner, it looks relatively nice. It's a water bay, and you can see the water and greenery and stuff like that. But I went there recently, and I was standing at the same place, and it smelled like crap. And then I saw down, and I could simply see there were pipes, and the raw drainage is simply being pumped into the river, into the area of water. The problem here is that no zoning has taken place, number one, and no planning has taken place. This is something which is done even in the industrialized world, but what they do is they filter and clean the waste process. All solid particles which might be harmful to the environment are filtered out. The remaining pollutant water, which has been cleaned to 80-90%, is then dumped into the river or into the ocean, where bacteria and planktons and other living organisms further filter that and eat those waste products and clean that water. So instead of cleaning the waste to 80%, we are simply dumping it entirely into that area. So the plant life or the animal life there cannot clean them properly. Okay, if video को मैं देख लेता हूँ मसला नहीं है, but I hope my voice is clear right now. If you can listen to me, that's fine. If the video is being frozen, that's okay.
सर वॉइस भी हो रही है बीच बीच में।
रुक रही है, okay.
जी